Hi, I'm Dr. Ed Martin for IV Family Health Update. I'm joined by my brother, Dr. John Martin, and my sister, Dr. Catherine Martin. We're going to talk today about advanced directives. And first, what is an advanced directives? An advanced directive is a document that allows you to plan ahead, to basically speak for you when at some point you're not able to speak for yourself when you're faced with a health crisis. It's similar actually to a will that you might leave to speak for you to take care of financial issues should, again, you not be able to speak for yourself.
Is it the same thing as a living will?
Well, there are two types of advanced directives. The first exactly is a living will. Now, a living will, the problem with a living will is it really only comes into play when you're terminally ill, so it's very limited. And I think what most people would recommend today is a durable power of attorney for health care. Because what the durable power of attorney for health care does is it basically allows you to document what you would want done, but also allows you to designate someone to speak for you in the case that you're not able to speak for yourself. And again, that's when we're talking about a life-threatening illness, when for some reason you're not able to speak for yourself. You're so ill that you can't perhaps say if you would want life-prolonging therapy and just how much you would want done. And I think this often gets on the front page of the newspaper at times when we have, say, a case like Terry Schiavo, where there's family disagreeing about just how much you would have wanted done. And I think that often then makes people think, oh gee, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. And then oftentimes around the dinner table there are conversations about these things. But what we'd like to do is to encourage people to have those conversations even before there's a crisis. And many people will suggest this is a good New Year's resolution, this is something we should do at Thanksgiving, something we should all have. Now, I have an advanced directive, and I certainly encourage all my patients, no matter how young they are, to have one to take care of these things. Now, the laws vary from state to state, but for example, I have the Rhode Island form here, and it's fairly basic, but fairly similar. Usually most states have a form where you designate someone to speak for you. Now, for some people, it's not their spouse. They may not want to put their spouse in that position to make those decisions. In some cases, it may not even be a family member. It may be a close friend. But basically, the person you want to do this is a person who you trust, who will really basically speak for you. Because that's really what we're asking of the person you designate. We're not asking what they want done. We're asking what they think you would want done, and basically to speak for you in the event that you're not able to speak for yourself. And one form that actually I found very helpful, because I think it goes through in great detail and I think can guide some of these discussions, is called 5 Wishes. I think this is it's good in most states. I think in 36 states it meets the letter of the law. Many other states it would be honored. But it basically sort of walks you through the kinds of things we'd want to do when we talk about advanced care planning. And it starts with basically the basic question is, the person I want to make healthcare decisions for me when I can't make them for myself. And again, this is really the first step in the advanced directive. We want to name someone to do that. And so it says the person I choose is my healthcare agent, and that's often what it's referred to in these documents as a healthcare agent. Now, you don't need to get an attorney to execute one of these, to have one of these. You simply, you have to have witnesses, and there's some specific guidelines for who can witness it. It can't be your doctor, it can't be your spouse, it can't be a family member. And then often it will ask you to name an alternative. For some reason, the agent, the person you have as your agent, isn't available. They're out of the country. They're not able to speak for you. So most forms will have a first choice, second choice, and third choice. They have to be 18 years or older, but really, other than that, you can name anyone. And as I say, many people don't name a family member because they don't want to put that burden on them. And then you basically can specify what you want that agent to do. Make choices about your medical care, interpret instructions, arrange for admission to a hospital, even sign you into hospice, sign you into a nursing home if you can't do that. Make the decision to request or take away treatments. Look at your medical records. They can do this if they have this. They go to medical records. They can actually get a copy of your medical record for you if they have this document. Move to another state. This is good across state lines. Authorized to approve treatment or to refuse treatment. So basically, it really has a lot of leeway for that person but you can dictate exactly what you want. Now, next, as it goes into more specifics, the kind of treatment you want or don't want. And so this may, for example, talks about life support. Now, again, one of the problems with the living will, it really says when I'm terminally ill, I don't want to be kept alive artificially. But as we see many times, there are far more decisions like that have to be made. You know, do you go for surgery? And if the surgery is unsuccessful, then what's next? Or if you're in a persistent vegetative state or a coma, what do you do then? Many people would say that's not a terminal illness, so your living will doesn't apply. So this will really breaks it down more specifically. When you're close to death, do you want to have life support treatment? And you're in a coma and not expected to wake up or recover, what kinds of things would you want done then? If you have permanent severe brain damage and not expect to recover, what would you want then? And then another condition under which I do not wish to be kept alive, and there's room then for you to specify what kinds of things you would want. And again, this may differ from person to person, but what this does, it then gives your agent some guidelines. Because I think many times agents will say, oh, gee, I don't want to play God. Well, we're not asking them to play God. We're really asking them, what the patient's wishes are, what would they have wanted. And this allows you to be very specific and help them in making those requests. It then asks, wish 3 is my wish for how comfortable I want to be. And again, this is very specific as well. Some patients, their main goal is comfort when they get to a certain point in their life. Other people would want to be awake as possible and might want to tolerate some pain or other uncomfortable symptoms if they could be kept a little more alert. But this allows you to specify what your wishes are. So again, your agent can speak for you. Wish 4 is my wish for how I want people to treat me. This may say you really want a lot of people with you. I wish to have people with me when possible. Even if you're in the hospital, you want someone at your bedside continuously. It says things like here, I want to have my hand held and be talked to. I wish to have others by my side praying for me when possible. Again, so you have an idea of what your wishes are. Again, people are very different. Some people want a lot of people at the bedside. Some people really don't want people around. So this allows you to specify that, and then allows your agent to sort of guide the care you're getting. And then wish 5 is my wish for what I want my loved ones to know. And I think this is often one I think that probably the people. It's more emotional for people as they talk about this. And again, this is something you want to have a discussion with your family and your agent about. For example, I wish to have my family and friends know that I love them. It goes through a number of things here that you might want to check off. And then again, this would be something then your agent would share this with your family and friends. And then goes into some specific things. If anyone asks how I want to be remembered, please say the following about me. If there is a memorial service for me, I wish the service to include the following. And again, some people are planners. They really want to plan some of these details. Others will just leave that up to others. And then it even gets into things like, you say you wanted to donate, you were into organ donation, you could specify that. If you wanted to leave your body to science, really, so it goes into great detail. Where do you want to be buried, and then identifies who you want, who would make your funeral arrangements. Might identify if you want to be buried or cremated. So really very specific details. And again, I think one of the reasons this is important is it takes a tremendous burden off your loved ones, because they're often struggling for this. Oh, gee, what did Mom want? Would Mom have wanted to be, or would she be irate if we were doing this? It really answers those questions and really can relieve a tremendous burden from the family at a very difficult time. So I think this is this is simply one example of probably a more comprehensive advance directive that I think I find helpful in speaking to patients about. Again, if you fill this out and stick it at the bottom of a desk drawer, it really is not helpful. And what you need to do is once you complete these, you make a copy of it and you make sure that your healthcare agent has one.
Right. And I also saw, I was wondering, if you were admitted to the hospital after an accident, is anyone going to know that you have one of these? But actually, there's a card you put in your wallet.
Yeah, for this one, yeah, actually, it's a wallet card. And that's why this one sort of solves the practical, real-life problems of this, where how did they even know? Now, as you know now, Medicare requires the hospital to ask you, do you have an advance directive? But oftentimes, it's the secretary, it's the admission clerk, and they're asking, 50 questions, check, check, check. The person is critically ill and often not able to answer. And sometimes then the person who's answering for them may not know. So again, you really want to make sure that the people in your life know this, that your doctor has a copy of this, the physicians who are treating you have a copy of this. If there's a hospital that you go to regularly, they have a copy of that. That's the best way of assuring that your wishes are in fact respected at what could be a very difficult time.
All right.
Any other questions?
So, no, it's
very
got to fill one out.
I know.
Yeah. I know I have a living will, but certainly it is not this
It's comprehensive.
Yeah, I think this is very helpful, and it goes. The living will is a good first step, but this I think is much more useful.
Yeah.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Okay,
Thank you.